Almost every singer who came after her has at some point tried to sound like her. Most of them will tell you outright, it can't be done. This is Whitney Houston. She was born Whitney Elizabeth Houston on August 9th, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, practically born into music. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a celebrated gospel singer. Her cousin was Dionne Warwick. Her godmother was Aretha Franklin. If there was ever a person destined for a music career by sheer bloodline alone, it was her. She grew up singing in church, the way a lot of great voices do. Not performing exactly, just worshiping out loud, learning control and power long before anyone put a spotlight on her. By her teens, she was doing backup vocals for other artists and modeling on the side, appearing in magazines, quietly building a name before the world had any idea what her voice could actually do. At 19, she signed with Arista Records. Her debut album dropped in 1985 and made history almost immediately. 3 #1 singles, a critical and commercial explosion, and a young woman being introduced to America as something the industry didn't have a category for yet. Here's what set Whitney apart, and it wasn't subtle. Raw vocal power combined with total technical control. She could hit notes other singers couldn't safely attempt, and she made it look effortless, which is its own kind of illusion. The harder something is, the more it has to look easy. Her second album kept the streak going, delivering 4 more #1 hits. By the late 1980s, she wasn't just a star. She was becoming a blueprint for what a pop vocalist could sound like, for what a black woman in mainstream music could achieve commercially, for how far a voice alone could carry a career. In 1992, 2 enormous things happened. She starred in The Bodyguard and recorded a cover of a country ballad that nobody expected to become the moment it became. Her version of I Will Always Love You didn't just top the charts, it became one of the best-selling singles by a woman in music history. A song so thoroughly hers that most people under 40 have no idea it wasn't originally written for her. That same year, she married singer Bobby Brown. We're going to be honest about what came next, because pretending otherwise would do her story a disservice. The marriage was, by nearly every account, turbulent from close to the beginning. Public arguments, repeated arrests on Brown's part, and a tabloid obsession that treated their relationship less like 2 people's lives and more like ongoing entertainment. Their daughter, Bobby Christina, was born in 1993, arriving into a household that was already under enormous strain. Somewhere in the middle of all of this, Whitney's substance use, which had reportedly started earlier in her career, escalated into something much harder to hide. By the late 1990s and into the 2000s, the tabloids that once celebrated her voice were now openly speculating about her health, her weight, her erratic public appearances. A 2002 television interview meant to address the rumors directly instead became one of the most replayed, mocked moments of her career, a clip that followed her for the rest of her life, regardless of how much genuine pain sat behind it. Here's the part of this story that's easy to skip past, but shouldn't be. The same culture that had spent a decade celebrating Whitney Houston as a once-in-a-generation talent spent the next decade treating her decline as a punchline. Very few people pause to ask what it actually takes to fall that far from that high, or what kind of pressure builds underneath a person the industry has decided to stop protecting and start mocking instead. She and Bobby Brown divorced in 2007 after 15 years of marriage. By then, the damage to her voice, her health, and her public image had already been done. Critics and fans alike noticed the difference in her live performances, the control that had once defined her sound was audibly, painfully harder to find. In 2009, she attempted a genuine comeback. The album I Look to You debuted at #1, a real commercial success that suggested, for a moment, that a second act was possible. She toured behind it. Reviews were mixed, sometimes difficult to watch, sometimes flashes of the old power breaking through. It wasn't a clean redemption story. It was something messier and more human than that. Someone trying to come back from further away than most performers ever have to. On February 11th, 2012, the night before the Grammy Awards, Whitney Houston was found dead in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills. She was 48 years old. The coroner's report listed the cause of death as accidental drowning, with heart disease and cocaine use identified as contributing factors. The timing was almost unbearable. She died the night before music's biggest annual celebration, an event she'd once dominated as thoroughly as almost anyone in its history. The Grammys went on the following night. Jennifer Hudson opened the show with a tribute. The room, filled with people who'd watched her career from the very beginning, was doing the math on what had just been lost in real time. There's a part of this story that's almost too painful to include, but leaving it out would mean not telling the truth. In January of 2015, Whitney's daughter, Bobby Christina, was found unresponsive in a bathtub in circumstances that echoed her mother's death in ways nobody could quite process. She spent months in a coma before passing away later that year, at 22. We're not going to speculate about what that repetition means. Some stories don't offer tidy lessons. Sometimes tragedy simply finds the same family twice, and the only honest thing to do is acknowledge it without pretending to explain it. Whitney Houston sold more than 200 million records worldwide. She remains the most awarded female artist in music history. In 2020, 8 years after her death, she was finally inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Younger singers still cite her as the reason they started singing in the first place, still attempt her runs in singing competitions, still measure themselves against a bar she set almost 40 years ago that very few have ever cleared. Here's the part of this story that isn't really about Whitney Houston at all. We love a good rise. We're less comfortable staying present for the fall, especially when the person falling was once held up as close to perfect as a performer could be. It's easier to look away, or worse, to turn someone's visible struggle into a headline, a punchline, a meme, rather than sit with the harder truth that immense talent doesn't protect anyone from pain. And sometimes, the people we celebrate the loudest are given the least room to actually struggle in public without being punished for it. Whitney Houston gave the world a voice that changed what people believed was vocally possible. The world, in return, didn't always know how to hold her gently once the voice started to crack. Both of those things are part of her story. Neither one cancels out the other. This was Undertone. One life. One truth. Even when the world is still learning how to tell with more care than it did the first time. If you want more stories like this one, subscribe. There's more where this came from. Thanks for watching.